Hi everyone, I'm LoopNoiseBeat. I make improvised music here on Twitch for 13 months now. And I do that. I play bass, the bass guitar, the electric guitar, and theremin, keys, you actually see here, and synths, obviously. I did this already before I started doing this on Twitch. And when I started, I haven't had real synths. I used plugins, VST plugins. And so basically to start improvisation or a song or whatever, I laid down a groove with drums, with MIDI drums. I played with my keyboards, and then played a bass line, a rhythm guitar, and so on and so on. So there was never a need when I started out to synchronize something, because if I didn't play the drums on beat or the bass, it was my fault because I was basically responsible to play everything on beat, to make it sound right, sound tight, whatever. For the synths, even when I used arpeggios via keyboard with MIDI, as it was a VST, I never had to think about clock syncing and so on. So it was never a problem for me for a long time. Then my first real hardware synth was the Sub-37, and I mainly used it as a drone. Then you definitely don't need a beat or clock, or as a lead instrument. And then again, it was me being responsible to play at the right time on beat. So I never had the urge to actually sync it to somewhere else. And beginning of this year, I actually I was able to get one of those, a Moog Sound Studio, secondhand. And my intention was that the Moog Sound Studio basically is my rhythm section. So we have the DFAM, the drummer for another mother, which is more than a drum machine. And for this presentation, I use it as a drum, basically kick drum. You hear here. And we have the Subharmonicon, just playing some random notes. And Mother-32 I use as hi-hats, basically. In this presentation. And now I somehow needed to sync those to the rest, to the beat, to the BPM, to the tempo. And that is what my talk is about, because you see countless videos. There is an insane amount of documentation from Moog actually, and also videos, but everything was scattered around, so I had to search a lot. And the intention of this talk is just to condense down what I learned in the last, 10 months, how to sync, and then even more, once it syncs, to actually make a little bit more interesting rhythms without the need of something external. And yeah, that is my talk about. And everything runs at the moment on its own clock, which can be interesting as well, nothing about that. And in the first, we'll go through three really basic things, so bear with me. It hopefully will get interesting as well, but I wanted to show everything. So basically the first thing is we just use the internal clock from the DFAM and clock the other one from it. So we basically, and my theremin is as I had to move the patch cables, so my theremin is my patch cable holder. So we basically get the trigger output to the clock input from this one, clock output to the tempo input, and in certain firmwares or with certain settings you have to actually enable the external sync on the Mother-32, which would be a Beatstep and run. And in this case it should work out of the box. And now if I arm basically the everything should, and press play here, everything should basically be clocked from this one. So if we increase the tempo, the rest should go, and the other one. So, cool, okay. The same is possible if the Subharmonicon is our primary clock. Thank you. So we basically go clock output to clock input on the DFAM, trigger out to tempo, arm, this one, press play on tape. That's it. Now the Subharmonicon controls clock. And for the sake of completion, we actually have the Mother-32 as a primary clock. Sign out. You probably see a pattern now, clock input here, trigger out, clock in, and yeah, I should press play. Now the Mother-32 defines. Okay, easy. There is a possibility to actually for the assign output to actually have subdivisions of the clock sent. You can change them in the global menu, but I usually try to avoid that one. So yeah, okay. Then another possibility, of course, is now we have those synced between each other. But my goal was to thank you, to have the same clock as the DAW I was recording in. So the obvious choice is MIDI, as the Mother-32 as a MIDI in. And basically what I do here in Reaper, it just sends the clock via MIDI. I don't send any notes or any MIDI commands other than the clock to the Mother-32. And then of course, by now we should know, assign output, clock input here, trigger output, clock here, and now if we actually press play on everyone, and it starts when my DAW sends a clock, and everything as well. But that wasn't enough for me because I wanted to have more possibilities, actually, without having to make any tricks in Reaper. So with what I came up with, I got an Arturia Beatstep, not even the Pro, the basic entry model. You get those fairly cheap on the second-hand market. And here as well, I sent the MIDI clock via USB to this one. And if you set it to the sequencer and enable external sync, so from USB, you can basically define a rhythm pattern on the Beatstep. And via gate out, we go to the DFAM. Here, tempo here, clock here. And now, if we start, you see basically the sequence running. Oh, I should, okay. I said something is missing. It was my kick. So basically you already see it. I now have the possibility to define the speed. So I have it on the 8 notes of the DAW, but I can double it, 16 notes, and make it faster. And now the beauty is I can basically add already some rhythmical variations in it by by changing the clock, how it's sent to the Moog Sound Studio, just by changing the pattern on the Beatstep. So that was oh, I might should. Nice. So you can do the same, for example, for the Subharmonicon, as the Subharmonicon itself has quite some interesting possibilities with the rhythms. So let's. Sorry for that. Let's do this one. Clock out, clock in, and trigger out. So basically now we send the clock to the Subharmonicon and distribute it to the other ones. Cool. Exactly, and here as well, so we can basically change the pattern, make it faster. Nice. So what we now can do is basically I probably forgot something. Yeah, I forgot something. I'll change. But what you now can do is basically, as the sequence or the both sequences, there are various ways to influence the sequence. We basically can patch back the sequence 1 to rhythm 1 and sequence 1 clock to rhythm 1 clock. What we now will see . Let's make it a little bit faster. You see that basically what I did is the pitch of sequence 1 defines the speed of sequence 2. We have this and now the high pitched sequence 2 runs later, so the pitch of sequence 1 will now influence sequence 2. That is a nice trick I use quite a lot. We might can show what I forgot prior to that actually. We might still can do it. What I was meant to show when you can basically take the velocity out of the DFAM and add that to a rhythm. And if I try now to make a certain drum pattern, you see sequence 1 is now triggered by the drum pattern. That's another way to influence the sequences. In this case now, sequence 1, yeah, is basically the drum pattern, or follows the drum pattern. Yeah, that was the thing I missed prior to that. Sorry for that. And now, yeah, we have both two sequences running on the Sub-37, on the Subharmonicon, sorry. What now if we clock, for example, the DFAM from one sequence and the Mother-32 from the other sequence? So I will basically patch that one in. That's the pitch of sequence 1 changes the rhythm of sequence 2. And now the sequence 2 will probably be the faster, so I will clock the Mother-32, which is our hi-hat from sequence 2 through the sequence 2 clock, and the DFAM, basically from sequence 1 clock. I can make it faster too for techno. But you basically see if sequence 1 moves, the DFAM will move, and Mother-32 is basically triggered by sequence 2, and sequence 2 is influenced by the pitch of sequence 1. So, and now for Squirrel, if you make it fast, now, what you can do, the drum is pretty repetitive. What we now can do is take the VCO2 and patch it to the velocity. Now we have certain randomness. Now just because we have a minute or two spare, let's actually, now it's the part where I distract myself. Let's actually take this one. Mavis, and it should have basically some diatride. And clock sync this one from normal clock. So this one should have the normal clock again. Yes. So we basically run the Mavis, the ride-like, the diatride-like on the normal clock. The DFAM itself is triggered by is run by sequence 1. Sequence 1, or the pitch of sequence 1, defines or manipulates sequence 2, and the hi-hats, on the Mother-32 is now is by sequence 2. So now, for example, if we just for the giggles, or if we had a ratchet. Yeah, and that's basically everything. So now let's remove one step here. And yeah, why not? And yeah, that's a start to maybe something that sounds okay. And with just a couple of simple basically cables, and the Beatstep here, at least in my opinion, brought more interesting rhythm patterns to those. So that's basically it. Thank you all so much for being here, and thank you to the Gold Trim Kilt.